Hello there, and thanks for tuning in for another of my videos. We've got a bit of an unwrapping video today. Recently bought an issue of Crash off eBay, issue I haven't got already. So I've just had a little snip open of the packet, so literally I haven't opened it yet, so I'm hoping it's in pretty good condition and it will replace one of my other ones that I've already got. If I've already got it, as I say, I don't think I have this one. So let's have a look at what we got today. Okay, that down. That's the back cover, advert for Arkanoid, as you can see, and we flip it over and here we go. And as you can see, it's issue 38 from March 1987, cost a princely £1. Now this wasn't the time which I had in one of my early videos where the Crash was sort of on its way down. This is more the pinnacle of the Spectrum, although I would say that's probably more 86 than 87, but this is still a good time to be a Spectrum owner. There's still great games out there and Crash is still going great guns. So first of all, the cover looks a really good cover here, Ollie Frey cover. Lots of demonic wizardy type things going on here, and that's to celebrate two wizard themed games. You've got Feud, which was a great budget game from Bulldog, Mastertronic sub-label, and Rana from Hewson. So there you go, and also latest report on Match Day 2. So a great little cover there from, there's the frog, presumably from Rana. So in we go, contents page, advert for The Last Ninja, which didn't actually come out on the Spectrum. Editorial from Graham Kidd. Lots of adverts and bits about back numbers and things we'll have on the early part of the magazine. A news section, so you've got news about some new games coming in and all sort of bits and bobs about the industry. Hunter S. Minson's column. And here we are, the first review of the issue, and it's a game called Butch Hard Guy by Advance. The author is Future Concepts, and it gets 65%, so a fairly mediocre start to the issue. Don't think I've ever actually played that game. And then we've got a very similar looking game by Melbourne House called Bazooka Bill, which gets even less score, gets 42%. It looks like it's trying to be a Green Beret clone and not doing a very good job of it, so just 42% for Bazooka Bill by Melbourne House. Even worse, the US Gold Master of the Universe game, which I think was based on the cartoon rather than the film, and that gets just a very lowly 28% there, so not a great score for Master of the Universe, Fire Adventure Soft. And then a game called Loco, which looks like some sort of train game, gets 44%, so not a great start to this issue of Crash. A few more adverts. Agent Orange, which was a good looking game, but again gets another fairly moribund score for 59%, says it's original, intriguing, but lacking in the finer elements of gameplay. Now this was a bit of a disappointment to me because I love 2000 AD, and the games based on 2000 AD, we'd already had Rogue Trooper and Slain, I think, and they were both fairly decent games, and Nemesis the Warlock as well. Nemesis the Warlock and Rogue Trooper were probably the best two. And then Melbourne House, this was oft delayed, this one, and it just basically was pretty dreadful really. I didn't enjoy it at all. I know some people did like it, but maybe it was too much to live up to, but unfortunately it was just not a great game. This is quite good, the representation of Mega City 1 there, and you had to basically go around solving crimes, but it was very bland and very samey, the game, and not very well done, I'm afraid. So 42% for Melbourne House's Judge Dredd. Jailbreak, which was one of the games that Konami decided to convert themselves. They got their own label together. It's converted by Andrew Glaister and Stuart Rucroft, did the graphics, the latter. Really, they should have carried on letting Imagine doing their conversions, really, because Jailbreak was one of quite a few underwhelming conversions of their own games by Konami, and it gets just 47%. It's probably a tad generous. Tempest, old arcade game by this time, but you still get 62% by Electric Dreams. And here we are, the first smash of the issue, and this is a wonderful game. I remember playing this for hours, and for the price, which was just $1.99 by the Pickford Brothers Binary Design, it was just amazing. It had great graphics, as you can see, really colourful and clear graphics. Basically, you played one of two wizards, and you had to gather all these ingredients and then concoct potions with which to help you eliminate the other wizard, who is your brother. Great little two-player mode as well, so a really superb arcade game. And to be honest, they probably could have sold it for £6.95 or £7.95. It was that good. As a result, it got a Crash Smash, one of a very select band of budget games to get a Crash Smash. 10th Frame, 10-pin bowling simulator, carrying on the mediocre theme, getting just 55%. Scalextrics, a couple of percent more. Little Computer People, which I think originated on the Commodore 64, but they didn't much like it in Crash despite its innovative nature, and gave it just 57%, 1 to 8K only game there. Crash Readers Awards, 1986. So 1986 was obviously a bit of a bumper year. Best game overall is obviously voted for by the readers, goes to Star Glider, so a fairly worthy entry there. Great Escape, Iridium, Quasitron, Ghosts and Goblins, so some pretty good games there. So I think the Crash readers showing off their good taste. Best platform game, Dynamite Dan 2, Bomb Jack, Cobra, Dan Dare, Ghosts and Goblins again. And then best shoot 'em up, Iridium, Light Force, Commando, Star Glider and Star Strike 2. So a lot of solid choices there. And I think deservedly the Great Escape wins the best arcade adventure, and heavy on the Magic, the best adventure game. And again, very well deserved. Best strategy game goes to Rebel Star, although I think probably a lot of hardcore strategy fans would prefer Napoleon at War, Theatre Europe, Their Finest Hour, or Desert Rats. Best simulation, as usual, I think, won by Digital Integration, this time for TT Racer, and they also had Tomahawk come in second by the look of it, which is a great helicopter simulation by the sadly departed Dave Marshall. And best graphics, unsurprisingly, goes to Light Force. Not much of a great game in retrospect. Star Strike 2 had great filled-in vector graphics as well. Trapdoor with the big cartoony graphics. Great Escape was an isometric game, but it looked really good, and so did Batman. And best music goes to Ping Pong. Very well deserved there. Carrying on, best sound effects, Dynamite Dan 2. Best programmer, Stephen Crow. Who got this, I presume, for Firelord. Yes, he did Firelord, but also, of course, people will know him from Starquake and Wizard's Lair. So, a really talented coder there, Stephen Crow. Best Software House Elite, which is no surprise. If you've seen my other videos, you'll see that they had a lot of games in the top 10 back then, mainly their superb arcade conversions. Best advertisement. Now, this is interesting because it's for the Great Escape, which is quite an iconic image. But I understand, I don't know this for sure, I've not spoken to Bob directly about it, but I understand that the artist behind it, Bob Wakelin, is not one of his favourite images. He seems to prefer a lot of his other images that he's done. He's created wonderful images, so wonderful pictures. So a bit odd there that everyone else seems to love it, but Bob himself, maybe he's not the proudest of it. And then always popular with the readers, the crappy games, and here least pleasing game, which is a funny way of putting it, but World Cup Carnival I think probably wins that by quite a stretch, followed by Knight Rider, which there was much anticipation for from Ocean, and unfortunately wasn't much cop, and the same goes for Kung Fu Master and Street Hawk, whereas Realm of Impossibility there was no anticipation for that, it was just rubbish. And then State of the Art Award, deservedly in my opinion, won by Star Glider, because Star Glider was a really elegant and beautiful game to play, even if it was just basically a shoot 'em up at heart. So there you go. On we go. Another review, Greyfell. I've never actually heard of this game. All the people behind it, Starlight Software, but it looks just like your standard 3D isometric game, and they give it 67%. So not a bad game. Lots of letters here, as usual, moaning. A programmer writes, okay, so who's this programmer then? Julian Todd. Well, he did Fat Worm Blows a Sparky, I think. Does it mention that? Yes, being the author of Fat Worm Blows a Sparky, I would first like to take this opportunity to disclaim any responsibility for the embarrassing name, the gross painting of the green maggot on its cover, and any choice of colour during the gameplay. This was supposed to make people laugh. Okay, this is interesting because if I remember, it was actually supposed to be a different type of game and they changed it. I don't know if it looks like here that the programmer's complaining that the publisher made him change it, so that's a bit of an odd story there that perhaps deserves a bit more investigation, so I'll have a little look at that later. There we go, lots more letters. Budget bashing, near misses, moaning about late games, no doubt. Oh, that's interesting. The bullfighting debate from an earlier issue goes on. This is about computer and video games giving a bullfighting game called Ole Toro, which was released by Americana. They gave it a score of 0 out of 10 because they thought of the subject matter was so appalling. Crash Course by Rosetta McLeod, educational software. Fanzine File, where they look at all the different fanzines. So lots of these produced, of course, cartoons and stuff. Homages to Crash. And competitions. Hannah Smith's playing tips, as usual. Playing tips always really big because we had no internet back then. So we got lots of maps. Map of Cobra there. Pokes and hints and cheats. Another excerpt in Tomorrow Night. PBM. Hall of Slime. Crashback. This is, it's actually not appeared, at this point it hadn't appeared for a while, but this is basically a look back at old reviews, and they kind of re-evaluate the games. So they re-evaluated here Night Law, and they still seem to rate Night Law and also Underworld. And we've got Boulder Dash here, which they say should be put down by 10 or 15%. So they got a crash smash Boulder Dash, but it's still a pretty good game, I think. Always addictive, Boulder Dash. Technician Ted, that got a really high score, 96%. I think that was a bit overrated at the time. And Airwolf, which got a crash smash, but was one of the most frustrating games ever. Had good graphics, but God, what a terrible game to play. And the Crash of reviewers now reckon it should go down to the 70s, which probably should have got the first time round, in my opinion. Frontline with Philippa Irving, so a few strategy games here. Silent Service, famous sub simulation by Sid Meier, of course. Techniche by Franco Frey we've got here. So more Techniche, Simon Goodwin. Advert for the latest Adrian Mole game. Adventure Trail, which is the Legend of Apache Gold, is the top review here. This was one of the first few games that was created using the graphic adventure creator, or the first commercial games written by Peter Torrance. I remember it being exceptionally hard, unfortunately, so I never really got anywhere with it, but I was generally quite useless at adventure games anyway. So yeah, that got 88%, so lots of good score for the graphic adventure game, Legend of the Apache Gold there. Then we've got Dodgy Geezers, a Melbourne house adventure by Lever and Jones, and another Medallion graphic adventure creator adventure, Winter Wonderland, by Tim Walsher and Simon Lipscomb. A couple more mail adventures there. Send off from mail order those ones. And finally at the back, a few more reviews, and the theme continues. This really was an odd time for games. I think a lot of these games wouldn't have been reviewed in Crash in a more bumper time of year, such as Christmas time. Whip Stars by ANF. Again, never heard of this. It looks like some sort of shopping simulator of some sort, and they give it 35%, so they obviously don't think it's very good. Fist 2, the follow-up to Way of the Exploding Fist, which rather logically put a kind of adventure spin on it, and you had to like explore, but in doing so it kind of took away what made the original game so great. I suppose they had to do that really, but unfortunately it didn't really pay off, or certainly not as far as the Crash reviewers are concerned. Another game in the 50s, 58%. Explorer, which was an interesting game in many ways. I wrote about this for Eurogamer. It's an early example of a walking simulator, or flying simulator, I suppose you should say, as you're in a jetpack. And it was done by the Ram Jam Corporation, and another chap whose name eludes me at the moment. I know he's also called Graham, like me, but I can't remember his surname. But he basically did an orienteering simulation and then followed it up with this game called Explorer, which had an engine which produced like 40 million screens. Of those 40 million screens, 9 of them contained an object that you needed to escape this planet. So it really was all about exploring. Could have been a good idea if it weren't the fact that all the screens look virtually identical. So Crash didn't really cotton on to this idea or fall for it, and they said it's gargantuan, awesome, actually quite fun for a while, but devastating in the end, and ultimately a bit monotonous, and they gave it just 32%. So not a great score for Explorer there. Ace of Aces, a wartime simulation from US Gold, it's 62%. Brian Clough's Football Fortunes. Now I remember this being quite disappointed about this because the Christmas issue, it was on the cover and it was a lovely cover. You can see it in one of my other videos of all these Ollie Bugs playing Brian Clough's Football Fortunes. He was poking his head round. They had a big competition and everything. It came with a board, as you can see there, and it was all very lavish and nicely done. And then they absolutely destroy it. And actually the general rating's missing there, but as you can see, 42%. There's not actually any screenshots of it, but they give graphics 15%. So I have a suspicion that it's basically a board game with a very basic program attached to it, and as a result that's why it got its bad review. The chart, Elite not quite dominating as much. Paperboy still top. Then we've got The Great Escape by Ocean, Iridium by Hewson, Gauntlet by US Gold, which is a very popular game, an excellent game as well. Matchday still hanging on in there, never crash smashed, but the readers never let Crash forget that. It just stuck in the top 10 for ages. And then Elite with 3 games, Bomb Jack, Ghosts and Goblins and Commando in the top 10, and made up also with Ocean and Light Force by FTL there. So loads of great games still. This was still a great time to have a Spectrum if you just look at all those classic games there. Back to School at the end there as well. Another smash, Hewson's Rana-Rama. Now, I never really got into this game at the time. I think I was a bit Gauntlet cloned out. I'd played Dandy and a couple of the other games that preceded Gauntlet. And then when the official Gauntlet game came around, I was just a bit fed up with them all, to be honest. And it's a bit of a shame, really, because it was quite a neat looking game and, by Steve Turner, and really fun to play. I have played it since then, and I think the Crash Smash is absolutely warranted. I think it's a really cool game. So yep, Crash Smash for Rana-Rama. Well done, Mr. Turner. Very nice chap. Interviewed him for Games TM. League Challenge, football simulator, management simulator, which gets only 28%. Megabucks by Fiber, which I've not played but gets a decent score, 66%, considering it's 199, written by a chap called Ivan Horn, good for him. And Nuclear Countdown, which is another isometric game and gets 72%, and that's by Atlantis. Atlantis weren't known for great games or even average games, and they produced one there. Shockwave Rider, which was FTL's follow-up to Light Force. Now, when I interviewed a couple of people for the Crash article I did for Eurogamer, there was a rumour that a software company who was dedicated to producing quality titles had a review that was less than stellar in the 60s after having had a very decent review of a Crash Smash, and were very upset and tore strips off some of the Crash reviewers. And no one could confirm for definite whether it was FTL, which was basically Gargoyle, which was Greg Follis and Roy Carter, or Royston Carter. But I have a suspicion that given they really pushed the envelope when it came to quality and expected nothing less than Crash Smashes, that it might have been Shockwave Rider that caused that to happen. So, playing football and prodding pixels. So that's John Rittman interview with Berlin Drummond to give an update on Match Day 2, which was the follow-up to Match Day. Lots of previews as always. Some odd ones there, where Eagles Dare into the Eagle's Nest, another Gauntlet clone. And Inspector Gadget game, which if I remember correctly was pretty pants as well. And finally an advert for Star Games 1 by Gremlin. So there you go. There's a quick roundup of Crash issue 38 from March 1987. Thanks for watching, and I will post another video soon. Cheers.